Hey everybody, my name's Luke. I'm an alcoholic. I'll just yell. What a room. I love it. Woo. All right, so let me get some data out of the way. My sobriety date is February 11th of 2000. I have a sponsor, a wonderful sponsor. His name's J.E. And I have a bunch of guys that call me sponsor, and that's pretty cool too. And for all those things, I feel so grateful. I also have a home group. It happens to be this one. Yeah. You've heard this too ad nauseum, but my wife and I moved here about 8 months ago from New Jersey, and we had a great home group in New Jersey. We really loved it. We were a part of it, and it was just a key part of our life, as I hope it should be. When we moved down here, we didn't find this meeting for the first 6 weeks. And we were just scooting around, going to meetings here and there, but you don't realize how important a home group is, one that you love, until you don't have one. And the first time we walked in this door, we knew it. We knew it. I said, Michelle, we're home. This is it. And it turned out to be. So thank you for letting us join this group. I love it. Thank you. All right. I never thought I would be standing here speaking in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting because my mother and father were both alcoholics. My father died falling downstairs and died from internal bleeding while drunk, was an alcoholic. And my mother, later on in life, I drove her to a rehab. So I'm not taking an inventory, that's just fact. And my mother was one of 4 sisters, and the Wild McManus sisters were crazy. And boy, every party, every event, every holiday was just a lot of laughter, a lot of love, couple of arguments, maybe a fight or two, and it was just mayhem. And underneath all of that was certainly some unmanageability, but a lot of love. And but I saw I'm not going to ever be like that, and maybe that just slowed me down. I didn't have my first drink till almost the end of junior year in high school. From what I hear now, that's pretty late. But anyway, it didn't matter. I made up for it. But I was always the shy, feeling don't belong, don't fit in, kind of a half a step off kind of guy. Like if I was at a birthday party, I was invited just because the other 2 kids in the apartment were going and they had to invite me. You know, that kind of feeling. So I never thought I'd fit in. So we moved from New York to New Jersey. At 9th grade, you really don't feel like you fit in. At any rate, they always had parties in high school. It was like the parties at someone's house. And you just know, Friday night at Joe's, and this party this weekend's at this guy's house. And I always heard about the party on Friday and heard about how great it was on Monday. And again, maybe I'll go. Next week, party on this Friday, how great it was on Monday. And I never went. And I always wanted to, and I just couldn't pull the trigger. And one night I'm watching Love Boat or Dallas or whatever the hell was on TV in my room on a Friday night, and the party's there. It was my neighbor, it was right there. So I crossed the lawn and went in there, had a few drinks, talked to girls, did impressions of teachers. These kids laughed. They're like, you are funny as hell. Do you go to our school? It's like, I sit right behind you in math. Mr. Invisible arrived. It was great. I never missed another weekend. I could just sum up the next 20 years, really. I never missed another weekend. And already had my family stuff in. Our family has a certain ornament for the keg on Christmas. A little, same one every year, put away that ornament, So at any rate, that's the madness. So I get engaged. And I'm ready to get married. And see, once I started drinking, I loved it. I had a big appetite for it. It involved everything. Yankee games, Giant games, tailgates, all the family events, everything, every weekend party. A lot of fun, So I'll use Bill Wilson's story for a few lines to advance me here. First of all, I discovered liquor. I forgot the warnings of my people concerning drink, right? Drink took a fun and exhilarating part in my life. My drinking assumed more serious proportions, okay? And now the next one is I'm engaged, and my fiance said, Luke, we need to have a serious talk. And this is 2 weeks before the wedding. I'm like, what? She goes, please don't drink at the wedding. I'm like, what? She goes, please, it's too important to me. Please don't drink. Well, though my drinking was not yet continuous, it disturbed my fiance. And so, and this is how I went. And so I'm going to try to really move it through, but here's what I do. I don't want to hear that. And I'd be walking into, say, a christening, and another cousin would come up and say, remember last christening? Let's not have that anymore, right? And I'm like, I don't want to hear it, And then again in Bill Wilson, it says, the remonstrances of my friends terminated in a row, which is an argument, and I became a lone wolf. And that's what I did. I didn't want to hear the crap from everybody. I didn't want to stop drinking. I just didn't want to hear the crap. And so I just started to hide my drinking really pretty early on. I kind of went underground. And here's an example. I would call work and say, I got a problem. I go into my boss and say, I got a problem at home. I got to leave an hour early. And I call home and say, I got a problem at work. I got to stay an hour late. I'm like, I had 2 hours that nobody's looking for me that I carved out. But I'm drinking in seedy, crappy little bars by myself, and this is what it became. Like I said, it was great, and now all of a sudden it ceased being a luxury. It became a necessity. I had to drink. And then I had gotten a lot of promotions. I started in college. I was working full-time in college, and I went to school full-time. And so the job I got was in a department store chain. I started in the housekeeping department. And it worked with my school schedule. And the next school schedule, I switched departments. And all through college, I switched all these departments. Then they gave me a promotion to management. And along the few years now, moving it forward, ultimately I became a vice president in this department store chain. It's called A&S, kind of similar to Macy's. And they used to use me in recruiting ads. They used to say, hey, come work here. We hire from within. We've got a guy who started in housekeeping, and he's a vice president now. And I was like, yeah, I'm Mr. VP. So this shy guy all of a sudden starts to develop a little bit of an ego, right? Like I'm all that. So now what I do is I would tell my wife, I said, listen, I've got a big job this weekend, and they're doing construction at the hotel, so I'm going to be pretty tied up, knowing that she's going to say, well, then I'll take the baby. We had a 2-year-old at the time. And I'm going to go to my mother's then an hour away. And I'll stay over. I'll come back on Sunday and I'll do all the laundry. I'm like, yeah, good idea. And I would go into work for an hour. So look at the progression now. I used to lie in about 2 hours. Now I'm lying about 2 days. And I loved it. And see, as my drinking progresses, I believe my character defects progress. I was a pretty nice guy. I didn't lie, but I'm lying about alcohol and drinking. I didn't steal, but I never brought home a full paycheck. My wife had no idea how much money I had. I had Luke money and house money. I stole cookie jar, bank account, a little bit here and there, but only for alcohol, see? And I wasn't selfish. I was a nice guy. But I did what I wanted, when I wanted, where I wanted, for drinking. But you see, defects don't live in little tiny compartments. They don't just stay there. They move and they grow, and just like progressive, just as much as our drinking. So all of a sudden now, while she's away for weekends, it's very easy. And all of a sudden I came home one day and I said to her, I'm leaving. I'm not happy and I want a divorce and I'm leaving. And I packed a bag and started to walk out. And she said, why were you going? Stop. Why don't we talk about it? What's going on? Why don't we try therapy? I have no idea. Because I created such a complete separate world that I'm living in. My wife was not a foolish person, and she had no idea how unhappy I was. Of course, I had the girlfriend on the side, and I just walked right out, leaving a stunned wife and a 2-year-old daughter. And I remember saying this, I want to be good about it. Take half the money, because I'll make that in no time. Well, second person, nothing changed. Nothing changed with fiance too. You can't make this up. Well, you could, but I'm not. She asked me not to drink at the wedding too. Second time. So that just shows you nothing changed. And I'll give you one more example of her. She went to school for master's at night. By now, I am drinking so much. And all I had to do was be home at 8 o'clock, just before cell phones. Before 8 o'clock, so that I could be there for her call between classes. Now, I was great because I was working really early and getting home. And I'd be like, when I drink, I go, I am a happy, fun drunk, man. I am. I'm so much fun that I got divorced twice. I'm so much fun that my family wanted nothing to do with me. But I am. I'm like laughing. I don't fight. I'm a laugher, kidding, joke. But I get this lilt in my, hey, how you doing? And my wife always knew it. So I'd come home, and the panic of 2 minutes to 8, she's going to call. Hello, Lynn. No, hello, Lynn. I'm in my house alone. I'm practicing. Hello, Lynn. No, that was bad. Hello, Lynn. Too deep. She'd call. I never got it right. You're drinking, aren't you? All right, so here's a dramatic change. Oh, probably really one of the biggest changes in my life happened. Direct deposit. Direct deposit sucks. She had no idea how much drinking I'm not really doing. And now she goes, what a raise you got. Wow. And I'm like, so now what's crazy is I don't have enough money for all the drinking, even though I'm making 6 figures. I'm like, this is crazy. Because all the money went in, and I got to take a little lunch money, and I'm drinking that on a Monday. So anyway, one weekend, my brothers and I were going on a manly canoe trip, and it's not manly, and we don't even get on canoes, but we drink a hell of a lot. And I knew I would need more money because there was also other substances going to be involved, and I'm like, I need more money. And I went on a trip. All right, and I changed a petty cash voucher. I mean, it was a legit thing. And I changed a 35 to a 65, and for $30 more, because I wanted more beer money. And a few days later, they did an audit. And I got fired for a job I had by now 18 years as a vice president for $30 more for beer money. But here's what's worse. There were no cell phones at the time. By the time I came back from Brooklyn, I'm like, whoa, what am I going to say to everybody? Holy shit. My mom was dying of cancer. That's the truth. The company was merging at that time. A&S was merging with Macy's. A lot of people were losing their job. I wasn't. I was, to that point, one of the people deciding. But now, by being fired, by the time I got home, I told my family, I'm like, they want me to take a store with this merger way the hell out in Long Island. And with everything going on with mom and her cancer, I told them, screw you. I quit. And my family thought I was the best guy in the world. They really admired me for being such a stand-up guy. Because I'd become such a good liar. And you know what? I never told the truth to anyone for the next 10 or 12 years until I came into recovery this time. And that haunted the hell out of me. I had no idea how much, only looking in hindsight, that really got me. See, my identity was this job. I was Mr. Rags to Riches kind of guy, and now I'm fired from it, and I can't tell anyone really. And, oh my God, what a disaster. Oh, so let me get to my last drink because I want to get into recovery. And, I wish it was more eventful. It was a quiet Sunday night at 11 o'clock. I wanted to see the score from the Giant game early in the day. It was in December. And I'm waiting, and my wife's already asleep. And for some now, on a Sunday night at 11, I'm not drunk or even hungover. And I go, and I'm waiting to see the score. It comes on about 11:20. And I go, and I grab a beer, and I'm in my den alone, and it's quiet. And this is what happened. Exactly. It was so quiet. And I look at this Coors Light, and I'm like, you got a problem, man. You got a problem. You're killing time. You need a beer in your hand. It's not Friday at 5 with the big crazy weekend. It's Sunday at 11 and you're killing time and you need to have a beer in your hand. You've got a problem. Now, God had been shouting to me so many times in so many ways and so many things, and I'd never heard it. There are none so deaf as those who refuse to listen, right? And then he whispered in my den, and I heard it. It's crazy. Well, I called the AA hotline. I went to a meeting the next day. I've never had another drink since. But that was 30 years ago, and I've got 25 years of sobriety. Let's do that math. Well, I went to the meeting, and I don't remember much about it because I'm pretty mocus, you think. But I know this. I went back the next day, and I went the next day, And I quickly started going about 3, 4, even to 5 meetings a week. And then a month goes by and I'm going to 5 meetings, maybe 6. And about 2 months in, my third job by now, fired me. And they said, look, you interviewed a lot better than you perform. Story of my life. And in my mind, I'm like, but I haven't drank in 2 months. Damn. And then my first wife said, listen, we're moving to New England instead of New Jersey. Now, I'm not father of the year at all, barely having a relationship with my daughter, but now I'm not going to be able to see her at all. I'm like, but I'm not drinking anymore. Then my second wife came in and said, look, it's been 4 months, I know, but that you're not drinking, but it's way too sad around here. I'm out. I'm leaving. I want a divorce. I'm like, what the hell? All this negative momentum is coming forward, even though I stopped drinking. Of course it's going to catch up with me. And sure the hell did. Now what's worse is, by this time I'd alienated my family. I didn't have friends where I lived because they just worked and drank and worked and drank. So I am living in a house alone that I'm packing up a box a day and I'm crying all the time. And I'm going to these meetings. I'm an 8-meeting maker. I'm going 5 or 6 days a week. But it's all I did is I went at 7, came at 7, left at 8, came at 7, left at 8. I never talked to a soul. I didn't get all involved. Chris, what you said is so true. I was way on the outside of AA. And I even started to get disdain for it in a way. But I would go. I'm like, oh, that French lady's going to talk about gratitude, ain't she? And I said, that judge guy's going to talk way too long. And I really hope Marty shares. He's funny as hell. And this is what I took from the meetings. I didn't get involved. They would say, come to the diner. And I'd say, yeah, maybe tomorrow. And I'd be crying. Because what a freaking loser. You got nowhere to go, nothing to do. You can't even say hi to these hands that are beautifully stretched out to you. What's wrong with you? There were days I don't think I uttered a word out loud. Think about that. I had no one living with. I wasn't talking to my family, and I didn't share at the meetings. Wow, I don't think I spoke out loud. Now it's hard to believe now, but it's true. Holy God. So at any rate, after the meetings, when the meetings were going on, now I'm there 7 months now, and I would leave the meeting and go to the beach in New Jersey, the shore, I know, down here. I know. But anyway, that's what we called it. And I would walk into the water, it was about 8 o'clock at night or so, knee deep, and then as the waves came, I punched the wave, and I punched the wave. Crying. I'd walk out to the rocks, the jetty, they call it, and I would just, oh man, I'm weird. I'd be like, you know what? I'm going out to the last slippery, wet rock. And if I fall in, it was meant to be. I'm like, it's funny and crazy, but my God. And then I would say, you know what? The world would be better anyway. Who's going to miss me? Certainly not my daughter. I never call her. Not family. I could fall in. And nobody would even know it for a while. I can always think of the movie, It's a Wonderful Life. If you're ever familiar with it, there's the scene, and that's exactly what he says. The world would be better without me. Now I know I'm wallowing in self-pity, but it's a comfortable blanket, isn't it? And that's what I'm doing. Now I'm going to say this. Now Bill Wilson has a line that says this. No words can describe the bitter morass of self-pity. He says, quicksand stretched around me in all directions. I'll say sand, I had met my match. I was overwhelmed. Alcohol was my master. Alcohol was my master more 8 months without drinking in a weird way. See, I didn't know this at the time, but I'm suffering from alcoholism, and I didn't know this at the time, but I am actually treating my alcoholism with alcohol. And now, I've still got alcoholism, but I'm not treating it with alcohol, and I'm certainly not putting any recovery into play. So do you think I'm ready for a relapse? Yes. So I moved into my brother's basement, and I listened. Thank God he let me, because I didn't know where else to go. And I'm like, you're a failure in life, Luke. You've gone through 2 marriages and 3 jobs. You moved into your brother's basement. You're not working. What a loser. And God gives report cards in life. You get an F. This is what I talk to myself about. Any rate, I move into my brother upstate New York, and then I got to bring this thing out there to somebody. So I go to bars not to drink, because I just got to hang out. Not to drink, though, and I didn't. I met this girl, and she did drugs, but they were not really my thing. Once in a while, that's it. But at any rate, the next week, there's the girl, and there's the drugs. Okay, the third week, there's the girls. I'm like, well, what is that? Let me try that. Well, I experimented with crack cocaine for the next 4 years. And I'll sum it up like this. I can sum up my next 4 years like this. Wow. Holy God. I used to say, I know this is AA, but this is my story. And I would talk in detail about all the drugs. I have come to learn to know and respect and follow our traditions. So I'm going to say this, and this is the point I really want to make sure I get and move into recovery. Oh no, I got more insanity. But I'd earned my chair in AA already. See, by the time I got there, my life was a shit show. It was falling apart. I was going down in every area. It was so unmanageable. I already had earned my chair here. I didn't need more research and development that we always hear about. That's a bunch of BS a lot of times, So anyway, I didn't ask anybody. I didn't learn about sponsors. I didn't know anything. I certainly knew nothing of the phenomena of craving, but I learned new lessons. I certainly didn't know anything about the allergy, the mental obsession of mind, but I learned new lessons. And unmanageability, I ended up stealing from any job I ever had in these 4 years. I was evicted. I was homeless on the streets. I slept in burned out buildings. I would walk to a soup kitchen just to get breakfast, and they'd give you a cheese sandwich in wax paper. And they'd give you one, and they'd steal another. Like this, how low can you go? You're stealing from a food bank. But at any rate, this is the life I'm at. I'm hanging with a guy, and we're running together. Me running. But at any rate, he went to jail for something he did on his own. But I used to drive him, so I knew his unemployment number. He was getting unemployment. In those days, you had to call it in. So I used to call in his unemployment. For 4 months, I cashed his checks every 2 weeks. I stole from jobs. I bought my daughter a Christmas present one year at a gas station. Where you go to pay, there's a little spinner, and it was a travel Scrabble, and it cost $8. And my 9-year-old daughter, Merry Christmas, Dad loves you. And you know something? If I had $15, she wouldn't have gotten any present. Because $15, that could have gotten me something. And that's the man I'd become. That's the way I was living. And I'll give you one or two more of that. I tried to then start to quit because I knew I just can't do this anymore. By now, my path had taken me. I'm living in Atlantic City. This is where I was sleeping in the burned out buildings and all this stuff. And finally, I got a little one room I'm renting, and I got a job overnight in a hotel. And I know I got to quit. So Monday, here's a typical week for me. See, Monday was payday. And Monday morning, I got paid, and I was spending all of it. And I'm wide awake for the next 2 days, because that's what I did. Come Thursday, though, I'm crying. And I'm going to AA meetings or NA meetings, and Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday I'd go to church and AA or NA, and I'm all in. And then Monday was payday. I had to cash my check. I made sure I didn't want to be evicted anymore. I paid my little rent, and then I couldn't do anything more but spend all of it. And I'm wide awake for 2 more days. And then I'm crying again on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this went on for about 5 months. You want to know the hell that was my life, being in AA 4 days a week and then wide awake doing wrong things 3 days? It was a torture. It was Groundhog Week. Oh my God, it was terrible. So one last thing, this guy, when he came out, he didn't kill me because I stole money from my register, and before he could put a knife on my back, and I said, I can get something. Because he came out from there, and he wanted his money back, the nerve of him. So at any rate, this is what we used to do. We'd go to a department store, and he would steal stuff, and he'd bring it back to the car. And I still, somehow, a crackhead with a valid driver's license. But anyway, that's a feat. In the old days, you could go into the registers, and if you returned it under $25, they gave you cash right from the register. So I'd go here, and I'd go over there. You can't do it all the time. But you did it once in a while. And I've done it several times. And one time I'm waiting, he's in there, and I'm waiting for him to come out. And why this time's different. But I looked up, I'm like, I used to work in this chain, and now I'm waiting to return stolen money to go buy some crack, like stolen merchandise. Like, what happened to you, Luke? Well, that wasn't enough, but what was enough was this. That guy finally got mad enough that he called the cops. So now the cops are calling my job, looking for me about some money that I might have signed checks on. And also drug dealers looking for me because I just didn't pay them. And so my world was imploding on me. It was shrinking on top of me. It was just like, and I'm not a smart guy. I did not stand there and say, Luke, what you need is spiritual principles in your life. And you can get them if you go to a 12-step program and follow and that will help you not only not drink and use drugs, but live a happy, whole, useful life. No, I wasn't that smart. But what I was that lucky. Because I was a chicken shit. Everyone looking for me and I ran. I had really no ties with any city. I ran back to New Jersey to my little brother who said, you can come in as long as you go to AA. I'm like, okay. Now, I think of this, I often say this. Bill Wilson had a spiritual advisor. His name was Father Ed Dowling. He was a Jesuit priest. He wasn't an AA member. He was a Jesuit priest. But Father Dowling has this saying about himself. He says, if I ever get to heaven, it'll be because I was running from hell. I'm like, dude, that's exactly, I didn't call him dude, but that's exactly what I'm doing. I am running from the hell that is my life, the unmanageability, the step one, everything's burning to the ground. And I ran into what I didn't even realize was the haven of AA. It's exactly what happened. And I don't know why this time was different, but it was. I came back, my brother said, go to meeting. I knew where to go. I went to the meeting. And you know how many times I heard, get a sponsor, join a group, get a service, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't know why, but this time, this is what happened. Some guy said, probably the first meeting, or at least the first or second, you need a sponsor. And you know what I said to him? Yeah, can you sponsor me? He goes, yeah, sure. Someone said, you should join a home group. Yeah, can I join this one? Yeah, fill out the card. You need a service commitment. What do you got open? In the first week, I got all three of those things. And in the 20 plus relapses, if you can't call them relapses, because I never got sober really, but the 20 plus times I tried to get sober, I never had a sponsor, never joined a group, never did service. Look at that math for a second. 25 plus relapses with none of those things, one, God willing, recovery with those things. That's my dramatic math. And I started to go about it, and it was great because I got a job working $8 an hour at a hotel. So here's Mr. Vice President. Hi, checking in? And I had a card for $200. That was a little bit of money even in 2000. $200 card had all this rust on it. Whenever I'd go to my aunt's house, I was so embarrassed I'd park 3 houses away. Not thinking about them. And I'd walk into my aunt's house because I didn't want that crappy car be in front of her house. This is how I'm living. I rented a room in someone's basement. I'm a 43-year-old man, and the bathroom was upstairs, and I had to put a robe on and walk out of my basement through the living room with watching TV. Hi, I'm going to go shower. What a life. What I didn't see, all these things are so humiliating to me. What I didn't know, it's just laying the groundwork for humility. I needed to do those things. I needed to go. I needed to show up. That job was 3 to 11. I went to a meeting every day at noon, and then I did all the cleanup all the time. I did a lot of fellowship. I did a lot of lunches now. I did the lunches after and then went to work. It was terrific. My sponsor was great. I want to tell a story that happened at that first meeting, and I only thought of this story 10 years later. It kind of sounds weird. I know, I'm weird. So at any rate, all right, I told you how desperate I am, right? Oh, God, I'm running into heaven, right? No. So by Tuesday, when that first meeting is, though, see, for me, desperation, it has a short shelf life, man. As bad as I felt on Saturday and Sunday, I wasn't so bad by Tuesday. And my aunt had stopped by, and she meant well, but she gave me $100. And she didn't tell my brother. I had it in my pocket. So by Tuesday, my plan is this. Hey, drop me off at 11 in the morning because I get there early. And then I'll walk back. I'll see you later. So I was going to go in at 11, walk out the back door. 2 blocks away is the train. 3 stops away is Patterson, New Jersey. And boy, me and that 100, we'll do something. So I go in, and I'm waiting. It's 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's kind of a nice-sized room, and there's a vestibule in kind of the main room. And so I'm waiting by the door for my brother to leave, out of the parking lot. And the main room's darkened, but there's a little light, and I'm like, I hear this, psh, psh. I'm like, the hell is that? Being nosy, I walk into the main room, and I look, and I see what it is. It's the coffee pot. Psh, the big one, psh, percolating. Like, oh, I turn to leave, and all of a sudden I hear, hey, who's that? I turn and look. At the end of this hallway, at the end of this room, there's a small set of stairs, and there's like these two balconies on either side. And there's these two guys sitting up in the balcony, like, come here, who are you? I look up, I'm like, they look like the two guys in the Muppets. Come here, where are you from? What's your name? I'm like, shit. Those Muppets really might have saved my life. Because I didn't leave that day. And I've never left since. That was from my first meeting. I don't know. I might have gone and come back. Who knows? But I might not. I always look and find an empty chair in every meeting I go to when I say a little prayer. These guys, anonymous, nameless, faceless, just doing service. They got there early to put the coffee on. They were hanging out BSing. And they saved a schmuck like me's life, maybe. And they don't even know it, and I didn't know it. And I don't know who they are. And maybe the anonymity of that is even better. But God bless service, God bless them, So anyway, I start going on, and I've got a sponsor who's terrific, and we start meeting every Tuesday. And, we're going through, and I had no idea. Somewhere in those 4 years I didn't go to AA. You wrote a big book? When did you do that? Because I never remember hearing it. Which shows you how crazy I was. Anyway, we start going, and oh my God. See, when I do the steps by myself, and every time I'm running the world from my own chair, I'm pretty smart. I'm actually a journalism major, but boy, did they come out wrong in this mind. Step one to me was this. We admitted we're alcoholics. Some of the words are there. You got to admit, but that's not step one. Step one is to admit that we're powerless. I had no idea what that was. Until I got a sponsor and went through all of those first steps, the doctor's opinion, the allergy that we have, the obsession of the mind. When I take a drink, I'm taking more. And certainly for me, I can relate that to the other 4 years. Whoa, when I started, I couldn't stop. And I got a mind that says, whoa, let's do it again, despite the consequences. And it had it there, so I can do it both ways. And so I learned all this, and I'm a real alcoholic, and I have no other option, and the unmanageability is clear. And we go on, and I get it now, finally. Not the way I thought it. Step two, for me, thinking by myself, came to believe in God. Not a problem. I believe in God while I was drinking and smoking crack. I believe in God. I believe in Him. That's not what it's about. Came to believe that a power, you can call him God, greater than you, can restore you to sanity. What sanity? Oh, the sanity we just talked about. You're right. And more importantly, it's worked for you. And it's worked for you. And it's worked for you. And the power of example is what really helped me say, yeah, it works here, man. I believe that this can happen. I got past any issues with God, and I know I need it now. I'm solid, 1 and 2. So I decided on 3. Well, then, if step 3 to me was made a decision to do God's will. Wrong again, Luke. It doesn't ask us to do God's will when I'm at step 2. But I know my will, and that's what it says. Turn your will, schmuck, over to the care of God. Your lying, cheating, stealing will. I don't know God's will yet. How can I? I'm at step 2. And I move on with the steps. And what a great thing. And for me, I was eager now, and I'm all in, and I'm doing service, and I've got a sponsor, and I'm networking like I'm in AA now, and I'm willing, and I'm starting to write a 4th step, and I'm fudging a little bit, and I'm delaying, and I'm just not feeling to connect to the God that I need, that I want, that I know I need, that I believe in, but why is it seeming far away? And then I reread, and I didn't bring my big book, so bear with me here when I just paraphrase it. In We Agnostics, on page 55, it's one of my favorite paragraphs. It tells us, deep down inside of every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. Oh, it might be blocked by pomp, circumstance, worship of other things, but in some form or another, the great reality is deep down within. So for me, it's like, whoa, I want God, and I don't feel Him because I'm blocked. by all the stuff in my life, my lying, my cheating, my stealing, the lies, the wine, the woman, the song, the fear, the resentment, the pride, the ego, everything is blocking me. But that's what steps 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 do. They unblock me. That I can get a connect to the beautiful God that I need. I see steps 1 through 9 in my cartoon brain that works. 1 through 9 is linear. And then we get to steps 10, 11, and 12, and they're circular. Because they're always ongoing. I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to be one tomorrow. I need recovery every single day. And the wisdom of our program is steps 10, 11, and 12 are designed for every single day. Continue to take inventory. Look, see how you did. Upon nighttime, review your day. In the morning, think of your day ahead. Throughout the day, all this stuff, it makes sense. And it's not so coincidental that when we do that, I'm running out of time, but I want to tell a 9th step amends and then get into a little bit of 10, 11, 12. So the worst person by far that I hurt was my first wife. There's no doubt about it. Well, now I'm solid and sober and I need to make amends and I'm willing and effort and I call her up and she sees I've changed now and she's happy for me. And so she invites me up to New Hampshire to stay over at their house, a little drastic. But her new husband and my daughter and his son, they went out. And so just my ex-wife and I. And so I do amends that's sincere and honest and genuine. I didn't shrink right across all of it. And at the end of it, she said, wow, thank you. Her name's Nancy. I said, Nancy, why are you saying thank you? I'm the one that should be saying thank you. You kept a little flicker of connection alive with me and my daughter when I never deserved it. You were wonderful about just having a dad in her life. I said, so I thank you. And she goes, no, look, you don't get it. Thank you so much. I said, what are you talking about? She said this. She said, all these years, I've been wondering, this is her talking now, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with us that you didn't want anything to do with us? What was wrong with me that you just walked out? What is with us that you didn't want anything to do with us or ever call? And I just realized right now, for the first time in 15 years, there's nothing wrong with me. And there never was. You have the issues and the problem and you're trying to work on them and I'm happy, but you just freed me from a prison I put myself in for years. So, anyway, I just wanted to put that one out there. That was the one I was going to fear to do the most, and look what came out of it, you know. So I get to 10, 11, and 12 in my last 5 minutes, I guess, or something like that. But at any rate, what a life we get to have. I try and do this. I think of the goal here is to have an awakening. I believe by the time I get to steps 10, I've had that. Now the goal is to try and stay there, help others get it and stuff. So I think I've always got to be doing God's will. The wild card of my life is my use and abuse of my own self-will. It's the wild card. I think God got bored and said, let me put self-will in these humans. And he's laughing the rest of the time. So I know I'm trying to aim on a daily basis. I go like this because it's to me like I think of the North Star. I think of a compass and I say, I just got to aim in that direction. I start out already over here. But if I don't continue to do the right thing, if I don't take an inventory, if I don't look at my actions and how I did, well, I'm going to start to drift away from that. And now the next time I'm looking at myself, I'm starting here and I'm going to drift from that. This 10th and 11th step are guardrails that keep me in play, as do service, as do sponsors, as do the whole network that we have, daily stuff. And as a result, I can try to aim to be true. See, I try to grow to God. My sponsor told me when I had that $8 an hour job, he said, Luke, why don't you just be the best $8 an hour worker you can be? What? Yeah. You're an $8 an hour worker. Be the best one you can be. What you're trying to do here is hit a grand slam. You need to hit a single. And follow it up with another single. And another single. Life is a series of singles well hit. He goes, you're going to go for the grand slam. You're going to strike out. And I use that philosophy in really everything. In seeking God. I believe that I grow to God in inches and feet daily. If I do the right thing. I've never had that lightning bolt, but I have an opportunity every day. It says we stood at the turning point somewhere. It says that, right? Well, maybe we have some major ones in our life, but I think we have turning points every day. We have many of them every day. Turning point. What did you do? The right thing, the wrong thing? Your will, God's will. Good or bad? Think of others or yourself. Where are you? You know? So many opportunities, but I don't recognize that until I'm awake. And that's my favorite phrase of step 12. We get to be awoken. It implies that I was sleeping. And I sure was. I was spiritually sleeping for years. I was oblivious to how selfish I was, to how much I lied, to how little I cared about anyone else. I had so many blinders on to everything. And now I could be awoken to the fact that God is trying to use me, if I do the right thing, to help others, to live the right life, to try to be the best father I can be. I have a great relationship with my daughter today. So happy about that. I've got a great relationship with my wife. I hope I'm a pretty good husband. I know I'm a good brother. I'm a heck of a good Uncle Lukey. You know, I just try to be the best person I could be today. Very flawed, mind you. I see the mistakes and I try to do better. Again, growing in inches. Awoken to the fact that life is right in front of me. Like, man, I see colors in the sky. When did God invent that color? I had no idea. What's going on? I see trees, and then I see leaves, and now I see the space between the leaves. Whoa! What's that crap about? You know? Like, what a life we have. I'll end with this. I talked about wanting to fall off those rocks and how small my world was. I love my life today. I love every aspect of it. And listen, we're no rich people. I don't know why, but we are just love it. We came down here, we love it. Everything about my life today is wonderful. I have a great life. I found I'm really just an average guy. But that's great with me. I always was in the middle. I don't need to be the highest or the lowest. I'm just a regular person trying to do God's will as best I can. So I went from a wonderful life in terms of wanting to die to a wonderful life that I really get to live each and every day with you. Thank you.